So today I turned 52. Oh, I guess my title could be Happy Birthday or turning 52, doing YouTube full time, or restarting at the age of 52. It doesn't really matter. Just today is about looking back over the last 20 years on how things have changed and how grateful I am for what we have today. And I thought it was going to be fun to see what things would come up when I asked AI, which wasn't around 20 years ago the way that we have it today, what things today did not exist or that we could not do 20 years ago that have been super impactful. And really interestingly enough, most of it's about tech. Understandable, that's where we want to go. But I want to talk about some of these because tech is my life. That is everything that I have around me and what I do. And I think one of the best things ever. But before going into tech, which does coincide with it, is I have a YouTube channel, eBike Products, and that one is, I would say, significantly more successful than this one, but also started a long time ago. And e-bikes have been revolutionary today than what could have been what we had 20 years ago, which none of them had motors on typically on the mass market. So that has been one of the biggest things because that has impacted me greatly, having an e-bike channel and getting me all worked up into getting into YouTube. But for the other quick 20 items that I've gone through, I'm just going to brush through these because for those of you who are older and been around a while and have been adults at least for the last 20 years, these changes have happened, although quite fast. They have been acclimated into our society so much that it don't seem as though they haven't been around that long. It's pretty amazing. For one thing, smartphones. Now I know smartphones were around quite a bit because back in about 96, when I made my big move from Hawaii to California, I was working for Radio Shack and we sold cell phones, and none of them were smartphones like we have today. Those things were still bricks. In fact, I think we started going into some of the smaller phones, which were still big. They were more like portable house phones at the time, cordless phones, but those have been massively changing society today. And I am as addicted to my cell phone as everybody else is. I look at all my stuff, my email, my work, my recordings, as far as YouTube recordings are all on it. And I can get in the palm of my hands, I have everything. So the smartphone revolution has been huge. And on top of this, what has changed the world enormously is social media. And YouTube is considered a social media platform. So obviously I'm on that as well. But that in itself, communication has just gone so far reaching because of things like social media and especially the smartphone on top of that. Next, video conferencing and video calling has been absolutely amazing. And I know most kids today would say, what do you mean? Couldn't you always see? No, we could not talk to each other face to face using FaceTime or anything like that. There was no Zoom. Everything had to be in fact, 20 years ago, most of the time people were still using phones that you had to pick up, that were attached to walls or were cordless, but not on a Wi-Fi network or cell phone network. Most of the things were still stationary for the most part. So online learning has also changed. Now we have schools where everything is done online. We did have some form, get this, for those of you who are younger, they used to send out, when you had to go to traffic school, you could do a mailing version. So you didn't have to actually go to a traffic school. They gave you a cassette videotape called a VHS tape, stuck it into a machine, and you'd have to watch the whole video. There was no skipping because they had to fast forward or rewind because it was a tape. So I remember actually sitting there doing my traffic school for getting a speeding ticket, and it would flash something on the screen every once in a while, and you'd have to write down those things that would flash on the screen, so you couldn't fake it. You had to watch the whole thing as you'd miss it. And sometimes it wouldn't even flash on the screen, it'd be only audible. So you'd have to either listen or watch or do both to make sure that you were paying attention, and then take this test and then send it in. You mail back the whole thing. It was so inefficient, but at least you didn't have to go to class and go somewhere. So that was something. We have online learning. Everything's on there. Streaming services. We can watch a movie in a heartbeat. Any movie you practically want to see, you can either rent it right online, get it streamed to you, or watch even old movies at any point in time for free or part of a service that you already had. So these streaming services are amazing, including YouTube itself. That is absolutely mind-blowing to me. Just 20 short years ago, we had nothing like that. Remote work opportunities. Okay, so remote work opportunities. There were some people who work remotely. I got to say that. I do know people who could take home work and just work from home for doing things. I know there was mailings and those type of small jobs but it wasn't remote work where someone could actually have a stationary job a lot like today. Definitely not in the mass market that we have. And it's all because technology is there. 20 years ago, that wasn't, everybody had to go somewhere to go ahead and work. It has been absolutely mind blowing what that has been done. We also have electric vehicles today. Everywhere you look, I think 1 out of every 7 cars I see on the road in my area is a Tesla or some kind of EV. So a lot of cars are not even using gasoline anymore, and they're still efficiently getting around. So we have those technologies. In fact, I just came back from San Francisco where we were seeing driverless cars. That is mind-blowing to me. We all expected that would happen sooner or later. The sci-fi movies all said that or show that would happen. But to actually seeing it now happen where somebody's jumping in front of, literally jumped into a car, getting picked up by a driverless vehicle that then swerves out and goes into the street and takes somebody away without a driver. Absolutely crazy that actually happens. We also have virtual assistants like we've never had before. In the past, yeah, we may have had remote assistants or like secretaries that would, or not secretaries, but what would we call that? They would be answering services. Someone would do some of the work for you by answering calls and things. And that was pretty revolutionary back then. But now, yeah, we have virtual assistants everywhere. And I can hire one today to start doing half my work that I had, maybe computer work if I had any. Pretty crazy stuff that's available. Cloud storage is now available as well. Anything that we have on our phones or we want to back up to, we can back it up to the internet of all places. It's like virtually just goes off and gets saved for us. That is pretty crazy. AI. Now and I don't know where that's going to go in the next 20 years, but it's come out and it's been taking, of course, the internet by storm. And yes, it's something that I am actually terrified of, but I am using it because I need to make sure that I know this is not going to go away. In fact, it's only going to grow and get bigger. So the better that we get used to using it and the better we get at using it, it's going to be beneficial for us to have a better understanding of everything that it can do. So it's basically all this morning I had a conversation with an AI about certain aspects of things I wanted to know about. It still amazes me how natural these AIs actually sound like a human being and how they understand so much. It is pretty crazy. We have things like Bitcoin now, digital currency. That's really something that's completely different as well. I can pay everything walking around just using my phone. We have telemedicine where you can actually get in touch with a doctor or a nurse practitioner, get medical advice without even going out of your home, and they can actually diagnose you and see things just because of what we have available to us today. That's amazing as well. 3D printing. I don't have anything here that's 3D printed, but those machines today for $300, they can make things, whatever you are able to create in your mind and use, of course, the software to make stuff, but you can have things just printed right in front of you. Again, things that just weren't in existence a while back. So crazy. Home automation using I have one of the G1s. If I say it, it'll probably turn up, so I don't want to say its name. But I have one of those G1s. I have the Amazon Alexa app. These things are listening at all times and can turn on lights for me, turn off lights for me, turn up and on the thermostats, and basically give me the weather in a heartbeat. They have so much capabilities with home automation now. That is absolutely, lights go on and off whenever we want just by programming them or letting them know certain things and can remind us. It's just getting more and more advanced. That's the best way to say it. But for me, the most important, I think, change that has been just mind-blowing to me is YouTube in itself. You being on this platform with me, I can now put a message out there and the world can see it if they want to at any point in time, practically. That is absolutely mind-blowing. So for my 52nd birthday, I'm just reflecting back to say, I am so grateful to be living in the world that I live in today. Yes, in some cases, things were easier back then, 20 years ago. Things were probably easier back in even 40 years ago. And I still remember that too. I was still, in junior high, 12 years of age. And that day and age, although we may miss it, we can't go back to it. So we might as well embrace the great things that we have today. I'm driving home yesterday from San Francisco with my wife, and we are in this car that can regulate temperatures on both sides of us and can play or even bring a call in from the outside where I don't even have to lift my hands, keep it on the steering wheel, have a full conversation. It can just put any music we want onto the station. I can actually search for music by voice. Hey, play this certain song for me. And it'll actually pull it up through any one of the music apps that are available. It is absolutely mind-blowing, the benefits that we are living in today. And I can only anticipate that it's just going to get better moving forward, because that's the way it has always seemed to be. Just today, earlier at the dentist, I went and they were doing scans with a CAT scan that could see all the root canals in my face to see if they're infected, or take pictures now with x-rays that don't just dig into your gums and your teeth anymore. And she was holding the x-ray camera. And this was mind-blowing to me, where it could do that, where said she was so completely safe that her cell phone put off more radiation than the camera did at that point. So it's just one of those things. Technology has been so great. Living in the day and age that I am living in, I am seeing so much great advancements. It is absolutely just exhilarating, and I have so much to be grateful for. One, I'm still alive. I'm at the age where classmates some of them have passed on. And to have family and friends and people to interact with that are out there that can just be a part of community. It's just so fantastic. So first of all, I want to thank you for watching this and joining me here. If this has been a benefit to you and you agree, I'd love to hear your comments below. What things would you say are the hugest things that have been actually so mind-blowing over the last 20 years that are just such a benefit? It would be really interesting to see what perspectives we all have, because like I said, there are so many things that just absolutely blow my mind, of what we have. I think some of the simplest thing is we got a car now that I don't need to actually use a key to turn on the car, that I just push a button. And as simple as that, it's been around for a while, not 20 years ago. It's just pretty amazing. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.